Hello and welcome back to Tulsa Beacon Weekend. I'm your host, Charlie Biggs, publisher of the Tulsa Beacon newspaper, Tulsa's family newspaper. And joining us in studio is Howard Pidcock, a candidate for the Oklahoma House of Representatives. Howard, it's great to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Now, people, you need to spell your last name for people.
It's Pidcock.
Now, people who have lived in Tulsa their whole lives, like I have, probably remember a Bill Pidcock that used to be on Channel 6, I think. But that's the wrong spelling. That's the wrong family.
That's the wrong family. I get that question all the time, though.
Yeah, so it's Pidcock. Well, Howard, you're running for a seat that is now occupied by Speaker of the House Chris Bench, who is term limited out. In Oklahoma, you only get 12 years. He's had 6 terms, so that's an open seat. And you're running for the Republican nomination. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what kind of madness infected you that you would want to throw your life to the wolves and become a politician?
Well, I've been in business most of my adult life, self-employed, run manufacturing companies, and I felt like this was the time that somebody that actually had hands-on experience with building companies and what the environment really takes to make those companies successful that we needed down in Oklahoma City.
You know, I think there are 2 approaches to funding government. One is that when you have a downswing like we're in right now, that you raise taxes to try to make up the difference. The other is what you just said would be to build up our economy, or to help unemployment by developing businesses and attracting new businesses and getting things going and doing stuff, rather than just making it a heavier tax burden on everybody.
We can't raise the taxes. That's not going to work at all. That's going to push the ones that are hanging by their fingernails. That'll take them out, and we're not going to be any better off than we were if we raise those taxes. That's not going to work.
Well, I heard the example one time. Let's say you had a guy who had an acre and he planted corn on an acre, and the government taxed him 10% of his produce off that acre, and he decided that, well, that's a pretty good deal. I keep 90%, they take 10%. Maybe I'll plant another acre. And he plants his second acre, and the government says, well, we're going to take 50% of that new acre. And he says, well, you know what? That's twice as much work for me, and only, not about half the profit of what I made before. Maybe I'll just plant my 1 acre and then go do something else, or not do anything at all. I mean, isn't that kind of how a businessman thinks?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the working man thinks along those same lines. When I graduated high school, I was working at a box company there in Sand Springs, and for the guys that would work the overtime, they didn't want to work the overtime because they ended up losing it all in taxes, and so the gain was not that good.
Right. And so the great American dream, isn't it the great American dream that if you work hard, you have a good plan, play by the rules, then you can be successful?
That is correct, and that's what we should do.
But you've had your history in business. Tell us the story you told about the Canadian problem that you had with your fixture business.
That started off probably about 12 years ago. We were in Southern California, actually in Redding, California, doing a job. And I think I led into that by saying that a lot of the fixtures coming into that facility there were from Mexico. And that was from companies hopping the border and getting the cheap labor and none of the restrictions that the EPA would put on them here in the United States, or OSHA, and shipping those fixtures across the border. And that was all part of NAFTA. We started losing a lot of work into the Canadian companies, and I happened to work with one of the guys here in Tulsa that was at one of those Canadian companies, and he said, and I asked him, how do you continue to buy these jobs and sell them for cost? And he told me, Howard, we're making 15 to 20 points on the exchange.
Wow. Well, Howard, you were making stuff. I mean, you were taking raw materials and steel and producing fixtures, and I'm concerned again. And you mentioned this the other day. Concerned that America's not making anything, and so you're out of business. You're not that those fixtures are being made in another country now.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and the gross domestic product for the state of Oklahoma, 2008. 12.9% of that was manufacturing. 14.9% of our GDP was our Oklahoma government.
Yeah, and the service segment of our economy has grown and grown and grown, and we're going to turn around these days where we don't make anything in America.
That's exactly right, and it's not going to last. Our economy will not stand up with us all selling each other something. If we don't build things and add value to product, all we're going to do is just change dollars, and that's hollow. That won't work.
And do you see there are some politicians that get this, but apparently there are a whole bunch that don't. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
And you, one of the reasons why you want to run, I think this is a big motivation for you, just listening to you, that you want to get in there and push that perspective and say, let's bring economic development to Oklahoma. We were at a meeting last night, or Tuesday night, and one of the speakers said, talked about how many U-Hauls go from Texas to San Francisco back and forth. There are so many businesses in California that would do so much better in Oklahoma. If we would just pave the way for them by cutting down on some of this needless regulation, workers' comp reform, tort reform. Do you think that's true?
I think that's absolutely true. The business environment here in Oklahoma could be better than what it is. It's already better than some places, but it's not as good as it could be because they would be coming here if it was.
Right, and if I had a small manufacturing plant with 100 employees in Southern California, I couldn't wait to get out of there because Oklahoma has cheaper land costs. We have a great VOTEX system. We have electricity. We have power. We have water. If you like to hunt and fish, we got an NBA team now that we paid for, overpaid for, and so there's a lot of selling points to bring them to Oklahoma if we could just take down some of these barriers.
That's exactly right, and we have got a good base started here in the aerospace industry. We've got Tulsa Technology Center, Tulsa Community College. Those facilities are sitting there ready.
The port.
We could actually have training for these higher tech jobs implemented in one semester. And
we're in the middle of the country, which facilitates shipping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we need to head out to California, Howard, and take a little trip out there and do some recruiting. You're listening to Tulsa Beacon Weekend. I'm your host, Charlie Biggs, publisher of the Tulsa Beacon newspaper, Tulsa's family newspaper. And if you want to find out about what the county is doing in terms of the fair didn't make money this year. We have a report in the Tulsa Beacon this week. You can pick up copies at Tulsa Area Quick Trips or call 523-4425. 523-4425 will sell you a subscription. We're talking with Howard Pidcock, Pidcock. Howard, if somebody wants to contact your campaign, what's the website or telephone number?
The website is howardpidcock.com. There's an email link on there as well, or you can actually call me, and my phone number is 245-7818.
Could you repeat that?
Yes.
We repeat things in radio all the time.
Website, howardpidcock.com, and my phone number is 245-7818.
Now, can you give us some of the background? Were you born in Oklahoma? Are you from here? And what's your educational background and that kind of stuff?
I am from Oklahoma. I graduated from Charles Page High School in 1971.
In Sand Springs?
In Sand Springs. And
an old Sandite, huh?
I am a Sandite. I've been a Sandite, and I've been a lifelong resident here in Sand Springs. I've never lived anywhere without a Sand Springs address, so I've been here all my life. I have actually watched the industry there in Sand Springs from running wide open to disappearing almost completely. We've lost our steel mill over there, as you well know, and that's where my dad retired. That's where my uncle retired.
Wow.
And
they made stuff over there, didn't they?
They made a lot of things in Sand Springs, and the rule was when you got out of school in Sand Springs, you went to work.
Yeah.
And so it was 1986 before I went back to college.